I never thought I'd walk away from my own dining table. For years, that table had been the one constant in our lives. Birthdays, holidays, small talk over pasta and cheap wine. But that night, something inside me broke quietly, like a glass slipping from your hand before you realize you dropped it. My name's Daniel. I've been married to Claire for 7 years. We weren't perfect, no couple is, but I thought we were stable, predictable in the best way. The kind of marriage where arguments fade overnight and love is just consistent. I never realized that consistent had slowly become distant. It started a few months ago when Claire began working at her new firm. She was excited, buzzing with energy, and I was genuinely happy for her. Every night she came home with stories about her colleagues, her projects, her boss, especially her boss, Evan. That name started living rent-free in our house. Evan said this. Evan thinks that. Evan has such a good sense of humor. At first, I brushed it off. I wanted to be the supportive husband, the man who doesn't get jealous. But every time she said his name, there was a light in her eyes that used to be there for me. 2 weeks before that night, Claire began coming home later. When I asked, she said, "Late meetings." No explanation, no warmth, just words thrown over her shoulder while she scrolled through her phone. I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know how wrong. That Friday, she told me we were invited to dinner with some of her colleagues, including Evan. I didn't want to go, but saying no would have started a fight. So I agreed. "It'll be fun," she said. I wish I could tell you she was right. We arrived at this trendy little restaurant downtown. Dim lights, loud laughter, and the faint smell of wine and steak. Her co-workers were already there, laughing like old friends. Evan was sitting at the head of the table. Tall, confident, that easy grin people like him always have, the kind that hides arrogance behind charm. "Daniel, finally, the man of the hour," he said, standing to shake my hand. His grip was firm, too firm, like he was testing me. I smiled politely. "Good to meet you, Evan." Claire slid into the seat next to him. Not next to me. That was the first red flag of the night. Dinner started harmlessly enough. Small talk, jokes, work stories. But as the drinks kept coming, the tone shifted. Claire was laughing louder than I'd ever seen her laugh in months. She leaned into Evan when he spoke, her hand brushing his arm more than once. Each time she didn't notice me watching. Or maybe she did and didn't care. Then came the moment that burned itself into my memory. Evan said something about office relationships being inevitable when you spend so much time together. Everyone laughed. Claire turned to me smirking and said, "Don't worry, honey. If I ever cheat, it'll be with someone worth it." The table exploded in laughter. My chest didn't. It just went quiet. I felt the blood rush to my face, but I stayed still. I stared at her. At the woman who once cried when she forgot my birthday because she thought it meant she didn't care enough. Now she was making jokes about cheating and with her boss. In front of a table full of strangers, I could have yelled. I could have made a scene. But I didn't. I looked at her, then at Evan, then at my untouched drink. I took my napkin, placed it gently on the table, and said, "Excuse me." She blinked, half drunk, half shocked. "Daniel, where are you going?" "Home," I said. "Enjoy your dinner." I walked out. Not fast, not slow, just steady. Each step felt like a decade of my marriage slipping off my shoulders. Outside, the air was cold. My hands were shaking, not from anger, but from realization. The kind that doesn't scream. It just settles deep inside, heavy and quiet. I got in my car and sat there for a while, watching the restaurant's warm light through the windshield. Inside, they were still laughing. When I got home, I didn't slam doors or break things. I just sat on the couch and thought about the man I'd become. The one who tolerated late meetings, who believed that silence was patience, who confused distance with independence. Around midnight, Claire came home. Her heels clicked on the floor, sharp, guilty, hesitant. "You just left," she said softly, like I was the one who crossed the line. I looked at her. "You embarrassed me in front of strangers," I said. "You mocked our marriage like it was a joke." "It was a joke," she said, voice trembling. "You're overreacting." That's when I realized we weren't even arguing about the same thing. I was hurt. She was defending her pride. There was no bridge left between those two islands. I stood up, walked to the bedroom, and started packing a bag. She followed, crying now. Daniel, please. Don't do this. I zipped the suitcase slowly. I'm not angry, Claire. I'm just done pretending this is love. She didn't speak after that. Maybe she knew it was too late. Maybe she thought I'd cool down like every other time. But I didn't. I walked out the door with the same calmness I'd left that restaurant with, the kind that scares people more than shouting ever could. I spent that night at a cheap motel off the highway. The sheets smelled of bleach and strangers, but I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Messages from her, missed calls, apologies. I didn't reply. I scrolled through the photos on my phone. Trips, anniversaries, Sunday breakfasts. They all looked staged now, like scenes from a play I didn't realize was ending. Sometimes people don't cheat with actions. They cheat with words, with attention, with laughter meant for someone else. That night at dinner, Claire crossed a line I didn't even know existed until she stepped over it. And once she did, there was no going back.